Do you know that South Africa is actually a pro-choice country? Like, we actually have that in it's provided for even in public health. Everything is like your choice of whether you want to have children or not, whether you want to now keep the child that you conceived. Those are actually things that we have in this country. We have that, and we are going to speak about all about it today. And let's get into this. This is not legal advice. If you are looking for legal advice, please go and speak to a admitted or somebody who's certified to allowed to actually give advice in that sense. So this video is also not medical advice. I'm not a medical expert. I was horrible in science. So what are contraceptives and what does our law say about them? Does it say anything? Does it provide any protection to people? Let's get to it. Let's go to section 27 of the Constitution. Section 27 of the Constitution says everyone has a right to have access to health care services. That's subsection 1, paragraph A. It says everyone has a right to access to health care services, including reproductive health care. Reproductive health care includes contraceptives. So then, you are guaranteed that right. So government must provide means. Sorry, I'm gonna keep on doing this to you guys. I'm sorry. Anyways, so government must provide means of providing you with health care, providing means of whatever it is that needs to be done with regards to health care. That includes providing clinics, all of that. It's a constitutionally guaranteed right in the Bill of Rights. So what has the government done? The government has since made many changes and many groundbreaking things. Reproductive doesn't stop at you not getting pregnant. It also protects women that are pregnant and until a time that you give a safe delivery to the child, or a time that you decide to terminate your pregnancy. Whatever it is that you want to do, the government provides for you. And I mean, yes, the government is obligated to provide that for you, or you can choose private healthcare. But any healthcare worker has to provide a safe and effective manner. Okay, let's go on to the 1996 Act, not the Constitution. Choice of Termination of Pregnancy Act 92 of 1996. So I'll read parts of it. It says that the Constitution protects the rights of persons to make the decisions concerning their reproduction and to security and control over their bodies. It's recognizing that both women and men have a right to be informed of and to have safe, effective and affordable and acceptable methods of fertility regulation of their choice, and that women have a right to access to appropriate healthcare services to ensure safe pregnancy and childbirth. Let me go on to the last paragraph. Believing that termination of pregnancy is not a form of contraception or population control, this act therefore repeals the reproductive and inexorable provisions of Abortion and Sterilization Act 2 of 1975 and promotes reproductive rights and extends freedom of choice by affording every woman the right to choose whether or not to have an early, safe, and legal termination of pregnancy according to her individual beliefs. Let's speak about who and when can you get this form of operation or medical procedure done to you, because it can be done to a pregnant person up to 20 weeks, and obviously there are different stages, and the act explains when can one do this form of when can one actually do a legal and safe abortion, but also speaks of when can you not, because it's up to 20 weeks. Obviously, when you look at the act, it's going to say who and when can, like the types of ones, because some you just get the pill and then it's done. So it's different times for each and every one, and it can be done up to a certain period of time. When it comes to consent, the Act says, I don't know if there are any cases that have been done regarding this, but it says that a minor, so a minor is somebody in South Africa who is below the age of 18, can, without consent or consultation with umzali, with consultation with their parents, guardians, family members, friends, can not be denied this access, this choice, but they are advised to inform at least a friend. But if they choose not to, then it's their choice. You as a medical practitioner cannot deny them that right. Look at the Act and be informed about your choice, and yeah, that's that. If you are at a point where you didn't get to use the proper contraceptive and you didn't, or you are maybe unwell or whatever the case might be, you have a right to access that legally and safely. It's done in clinics. It's just that it's not spoken about, but it's available even in clinics. So there's that part. All right.
Okay, so there are different types of contraceptives, and I didn't mention the injectable ones, and which is one that I've actually used before. I used the Naristrain, which is a 2 months injection, and I've also used the Depo-Provera, but had to stop using it because I had breakthrough bleeding for 3 months. And the one method that I've been using in the past 2 years has been the tracker. Use the app called Flow, and it's been quite accurate. And however, I wouldn't recommend using that if you know that you sometimes avoid using protection, and you won't be strict as to these are not safe days and I'm definitely going to use protection whatever it takes. So, and would recommend it if what can I say would recommend it if you just don't want to be on anything hormonal but want something to protect yourself with. And guys, condoms do not hurt anyone. You have to use them all the time, even if you are on an effective and maybe permanent or whatever birth control. You need to use condoms.
The IUD, also known as a loop, that thing that's put in your body. It's either a copper or plastic, put inside your JJ. I'll put a picture of it. It's pushed up and then it stays there for like 5 years. Apparently it stops your period pains if you suffer from them, but others say that it makes their period pains worse, so whatever experience might be with it. And others say that it affects their sex life because their partner can feel it and it's uncomfortable or annoying to them. But that one lasts for 5 years, so it has side effects. And this one says that it could be a discharge or inflammation, and you have a lot of really bad headaches, back pain, mood swings, and depression. Depression that I know of, a lot of people that use this usually suffer from depression and recognize later in life that actually the reason why we are this depressed is because of this monster that we have in our bodies. That's why it's so annoying to actually subject yourself as a woman to this. That's my other issue with contraceptives. Most of them just make my mood really, really bad, but we move. And then there are implants put on your arm here. Looks weird, but apparently it's a plastic. It looks like a rod. It's put in your arm for about, in your arm, like in your skin. You walk around and if you touch, you see it. It's usually in your skin for 3 years. And then it works. I don't know how, but it works. And yeah. And then Naristrain, that's the name of the 2 months injection. So it's Naristrain. And yeah, also, by the way, I no longer go to the clinic for my contraceptive. I get it at the pharmacy or local pharmacy. Naristrain is only 90 Rand. So another thing with public health aides, that if they're saying they don't have a certain contraceptive, they don't have it, and you have to use what they have or don't use it at all. And then that's how a lot of people have gotten pregnant. They say that I got to the clinic and they say they don't have this type of contraceptive, and I didn't, but pharmacies have this and they are available, they are free, and pharmacies have clinics, so you consult with somebody and then they give you the injection or whatever it is that you want. So yeah, don't use that excuse. If your bae buys you whatever it is that you buy them, please pay for my this thing, because it's gonna benefit the both of us, because I have a leg. All right, so, and then there are patches. So I've seen a patch as well. Somebody that I know uses a patch. She's still not pregnant, she still has no kid, and she's been using a patch for some time. You just stick it on your body, don't know for how long. Let's just read what it says. The patch delivers hormones through the skin and into the blood, and it works to prevent ovulation. It thickens the vaginal fluids to prevent the survival of sperm. The one thing that every contraceptive is fighting is a sperm. So why not just use condoms if you really don't want, like, the one safe thing that I would say use, if especially if your body has side effects, and also if you still planning on having kids at some point, because this thing of hormonal contraceptive is that they really do affect your body in the long run. My friend has also been trying to get back her period for a whole full year. So she was not ovulating for a whole full year after having stopped using Depo for a year and a half. So one thing that you need to do is actually get yourself used to condoms. There are so many great ones, like Durex has that thin, like, and I saw that Lavas Plus now has those as well. It feels like skin. It's just that sometimes, I don't know when, you just want to, and then if you happen to not want to, or happen to plan not to have children in the future, it works. The fact that it's not a concern, you could see this thing might affect your chances of actually ever having children in the future. That's fine. Then, okay, back to types. Vaginal ring. So vaginal rings are a plastic ring which is placed inside the vagina. It also releases hormones into the bloodstream in order to prevent pregnancy. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent pregnancy. Asifuni ugumita. And then 2, permanent, is sterilization, and I have a case law that I want to share with you guys on sterilization. There is the name of the case is Sloher versus MEC of Department of Health, Northwest Provincial Government. So this is what happened. Hospitals did what they are famous for. The medical field, unfortunately, they can be negligent. They are humans at the end of the day. But yeah, they did that with this woman. This lady went in to give birth to her third child through a cesarean procedure to the child. And when she went in, she had signed consents and made the doctors aware that she wants them to perform a sterilization to her body. And they did, according to them. They did, and then so she left without being given any form of contraceptive counseling or contraceptive advice, as apparently they do when you give birth. After having given birth, they put you on a certain contraceptive. They make sure that I'll meet you anytime soon. That's what I've heard. I've never been to the labor ward, but that's what happens. So with her, they obviously didn't do that because a sterilization was performed. Sterilization is meant to be, according to this case and according to the doctor that was there, it's meant to be a permanent thing that you need to do. And the reason why she wanted a sterilization, this lady, she was a nurse, by the way, as well. She had a certain infection that she didn't want her kids to have, her future kids to have. So she said, "Angisafuni ukuzala, so close this off." And then close this road off, like tie whatever it is that they do. I don't know how it's done. And then 2, she also spoke of financial constraints, like you can't have, like, especially in this economy, to have more than 3 children is like insane, and it's expensive to do. So that's what she said. That's what she indicated. All right, and then so it was agreed, bamvumela, to do that, and then few months later she's pregnant with the 4th child. How njani na? One thing they did, they said one mistake they did, which was a negligent thing that they did, was that they didn't do a lab follow-up thingy to see was this thing done properly, and that was negligence on their part. That's why there is this case. As much as sterilization is not fail-proof, it could happen that by God's miracle you get to have a child even after sterilization. But you might, unfortunately, in the case of this woman, have a doctor or a nurse that does a procedure incorrectly or doesn't follow up as they're supposed to. In this case, they had to decide on what does negligence mean. The groundbreaking case, if you are a law student or if you've done Delict, Kruger versus Kutsi, whatever, but the 1966 case, you must know about it. It speaks of culpability, of culpa and liability, purposes of liability in culpa. Culpa is negligence for, and so if ever you are negligent, this is what liability through culpa arises. If the person who is in the position of the defendant, so the one who's alleged to have been negligent, would foresee the reasonable possibility of his conduct injuring the person or the property, or causing patrimonial loss of the other party. 2, would taking reasonable steps guide against such occurrences. See where it's going with this case that I'm sharing. And then and then 2, did the defendant fail to take the steps? Here, if you have the duty to know umuntu mengabe sterilization fanele ube follow up, and then they didn't do the necessary follow up, they didn't even set up appointments for her, they didn't say anything to her, and then their defense in court was that she's a nurse. There she was in her capacity as a patient. So if ever usemsebenzini kuthiwa, but you should, you are here as your capacity, in your capacity as a patient. So this is what that's what the court said in that sense. So you see, and then the defendant failed to take the reasonable steps, so that's why they are called negligent. That's why the employees of Department of Health, in this case, they were negligent in the fact that usisu pregnant ngengane yesufu bekade plan ukuthi yena impilo yakhe usenengane ezu3, and then boom, there's a 4th one. The court says that the birth of the child was a direct result of the negligence by the employees of the defendant. Therefore, defendant is vicariously liable for claims of the plaintiff, and it constitutes of a maintenance of the child until they turn 18. The Department of Health was actually held responsible for maintaining the child until they turn 18 because of the negligence of the health profession. This is what happens when you don't do due diligence in whatever that you do. Whatever you do, I always say this, whatever you do it properly. If you can't do it, don't do it. That's just my philosophy. Do it properly in order for you not to go back to issues of this sort. Anyways, that's the tea on sterilization. For guys, the only 2 things that are available right now is condoms, and the second one is vasectomy, which stops sperm from being ejaculated from the penis during sex. It's supposed to be permanent, but it's usually permanent, like sterilization. there is no fail proof, obviously, but you go under the knife to do that, and a lot of people avoid doing that because, wow, I don't even think there's now pleasure, because most guys usually say like the biggest pleasure is actually getting the thing out of your body. So yeah, anyways, that's what's available for guys. And yeah, hope you guys found this video informative, and I hope you are going to make better choices regarding your reproductive health, because we all have the right guaranteed in the Constitution. We all have the choice, we all have access to it, and the choice is honestly yours whether you want to have a child or not. And if unfortunately you end up being pregnant and it turns out that you're still within the legal time and you don't want to, and you've made a decision, go and do the TOP in the proper legal and safe environments like Mary Stopes, which is one of the most well-known place to do that, but it is a private institution, but apparently it's affordable, and it's less of being a clinic young again. Or even go to a different area again to find a clinic if you are scared of a clinic young again in any way, whether it's wanting contraceptive or it's wanting to do a TOP after finding out that you are pregnant and you're still below the 20 weeks, and it's still safe for you to do it, and it's legal, it's available for all of us, and we have access to them. So I hope we get to use all of our rights. This channel is about us using all of our rights and being informed of the rights that we have and making all the right decisions.